Ripe Wave Audio community. My name is John, and for this video we will tackle how we're going to make room when we get new gear. Now, the approach that we've taken to date on our setup here is a little unconventional, where we just get everything spread across the front here, not really stacking too much except for the Sony stack over there. This has been good to some extent, but there's no more room to place things, especially when some of the gear gives off heat or what have you. And with the subwoofers coming in, we still yet to measure, test, and place these. We don't know. These might end up being in the corners. We might corner load these. And because we have this cabinet in the front, and the doors on either side, placing them on the floors is not ideal. We may actually have to put them up on the shelf if we were to corner load this. But we may place them in the middle of the room or at the end of the room. Now on the opposite end of the room where we have our rear speakers, we have actually the whole same mirror set up as far as the cabinetry. So the same problems exist at the rear of the room as they do in the front. What approach are we going to take when we redesign this layout of the components up here? And we take the classical approach of form follows function. Now that applies just as much to this room as it does to just general architectural principles. And thinking about function first, the number one criteria on function for a theater, for an audio environment, is the sound quality. And that's the placement of your speakers. Now we pretty well have set the ear level speakers. We know where the ceiling speakers are generally going to go. It's the subwoofers that just came in, and we have yet to place these and where they're going to go. And it might be that these reside up on those shelves where they're corner loaded as one possibility. But we'll want to place those subs first and then determine where the components have room afterwards. And we're also thinking about, as far as sound quality, does any of this equipment generate noise? Now, generally, what I have right now doesn't generate noise. There's not a fan built into any of these units. They're quiet. So I don't think I have to worry about the sound of the equipment itself generating noise. But we also have to be concerned about vibration. So we have a turntable. Now, turntables, we want to be that as solid and stable as possible. And if you put that turntable right next to a subwoofer, you're going to have problems. So we'll have that in mind. The next thing when it comes to function, we think about wiring. And how are we going to get all the speaker wires back to where the amplifiers that drive them? Now we're going to think a little bit out of the box here. Maybe we don't put the amplifiers on one place. Maybe we put the amplifiers for the rear speakers in the rear of the room. That's one possibility. So we can think out of the box there. And we also know from the design of this room, some parts of the room are easier to wire. Now up over here, and it's probably slightly out of view, is we have a chase. And we have these access panels, and we can pull this out and we can run down the chase. We had that in mind. So right down the whole length of the 27-foot length of the room, we have an easy way to run wires. So the one thought that we have is if we can place the equipment, the processor, the amplifiers closer to the chase, then it's going to be able to run out to all the speakers. So that's an idea. The other thing we're thinking about is heat. Now the current setup that we have here is very good with heat because nothing's on top of the amplifiers that generate the most heat. These Emotiva XPA1 second generation amplifiers can go into a Class A mode. And when I'm doing music listening, that's what I switch it to, is the Class A mode, and it generates heat. So we want a good airflow, particularly for the 3 Emotiva units here. So we'll keep that in mind. I'm not as concerned about the 5-channel Sony TAN 9000 ES amplifier, and that seems to be doing well there. But there is good air circulation in the current design. Now, stacking these would be more efficient to and use less room. And as we add more components, I think that's what way we need to go. So as a result, we're going to go with a rack type unit, but a little different than the ones that you see in equipment rooms. The next thing that comes down ultimately is ergonomics. You know, getting over to this turntable is less than ideal. Right now I have a speaker in front of it. I kind of have to go around the side here to do all my dusting of the records and starting it up. You know, that isn't the most ideal placement behind the speaker. Getting to the volume knob. So if we were to stick something in, we have a closet over here. Yes, we could stick all the equipment into the closet, but you know, you wouldn't have access to that. Now, I know a lot of home theater enthusiasts don't want to see any of this stuff up the front. They just want to see the screen. Now, that's not a criteria that matters so much to me. We're willing to actually see the units. I'm not distracted by the LEDs. You know, I know a lot of enthusiasts actually just turn the LEDs off. They don't want to see it. They wouldn't go with the gloss sponge. They would go with a matte black finish on their speakers, and so forth. So I'm probably a lot different than norm here. We realize that, but you know what? I'm gonna go with what I like, and I actually like seeing the lights. I grew up where seeing flashing lights were a kind of a novel experience, and it's kind of stuck with me. So I like seeing the flashing lights. Finally is the aesthetics, just kind of moving further along this. Does it aesthetically look pleasing, you know, when you look at it? And that's very subjective, and again, we're going to go with what we like. So with that said, we're moving forward with an equipment rack, but this isn't the type that you screw the ears on and you put it into a rigid chassis. No, this is going to be a set of shelves, and what we've selected, and there was a couple of models that were like this, is a very modular shelving system, and these usually sit on the floor, and you can tier up as many layers as the system supports, and you have to look, and it's good to look at the weight limits of those shelving systems. But we selected the VTI rack. It looks very good online. I got this through Amazon. We paid $294.45. The shipping was free. Now I've seen this like $100 more, so you got to kind of shop around. In fact, the model that we selected, the picture on Amazon had a different color, but the color code was right. So the way VTI does this is the BL304 model, and the 3 stands, it has kind of like 3 legs versus 4. And then they put a color code after it. So we've got the SO color code. There's end caps on this, and we'll put a little picture while you're watching this video. The end caps can be different colors. We picked the silver one. We have some silver accents already in this room, such as even the door handles. And the shelving finish is an oak finish that we went with. And they have like a mahogany and a black and maybe another color, but there's various options there. So, but the picture for the one we selected was a different color than the color code. So you just be careful there that the picture may not match the code in which you're ordering if you're ordering from Amazon. So with that said, we can get in with the unboxing and setup on this, and we'll try to run through that real quick, and you can see how this thing looks set up without the equipment on it. And then later on, maybe in a week or two, we'll show you how this is already, kind of transformed using this new VTI shelving system. And let's see if it works out for us. All right, I don't know what we're going to need for tools, but I brought a screwdriver and a carpenter's knife. Get this thing open. Hopefully there was no damage. The box has a little bit of a scrape from shipping. Hopefully that wasn't going to impact the contents. This is one of the frame pieces. As I said, this is the 304 model, so it's a triangular support system versus having 4. Their 404 series has 4 legs. I thought this was kind of interesting. Assembly instructions. This is probably the shelves. Parts. And that does it for the box. We'll put the packing material back in and set that aside. Okay, they've got everything wrapped up. I don't think anything got damaged with that little cut on the side of the box, so that's good. At least as far as the legs are concerned, the color looks right. We've got the normal leg color of black with the silver end caps, as we mentioned. You can already tell that this is going to be a pretty sturdy unit. Always being careful not to scrape the finish when cutting the package in here. One layer. I may actually be good at unpacking this by the time we hit the last section. That's 2 sections. What I find is they fold the bubble wrap over like this and then they tape it. So if you untape, take the tape off on the part they fluff, and then that just comes off easy. So that makes it quicker. Legs. There's 1, 2, 3 pieces of tape along each edge, and then it just comes off. That's 3. And the last one. And you're going to start to notice that these are different heights. And the taller equipment can go with the higher ones. Obviously, the equipment that's not as high goes to the shorter ones. And you can use these separately or together. Some people use them as floor standing just for their amplifiers. So I like this because as our needs change in our system, I can reconfigure this and use it in different ways. This is the shortest one. This would be probably one you would use if you were using it as a amplifier stand on the floor. So far, I don't know if we're going to need to use my screwdriver. That's always good news. These things come mostly assembled. And there are all the sections. And this box is gotta be the shelves. Good, I ordered the color right. So this is the what they call the oak. I'm assuring it's not solid oak, it's probably some veneer. But it should come close to matching our countertops. I can see this is specifically designed for the three-legged. Well, that's kind of nice. Yeah. I think they just rest on here. Still no tools of yet. There's one. There's two. Three. And these are finished on both sides, so that's really good. I haven't figured out how they did. It's probably like MDF with a thin veneer, or it feels like real wood. It doesn't feel like a vinyl. It could be fooled. But it has a good quality feel to it. It doesn't feel like it's just going to scratch off. All right, so those are the three heights. I haven't even looked at the instructions yet. Well, Lisa Lips gives us the order on how the shelves are supposed to be. Where's the little accessory box? Let's see what we got in here. This is the last thing to open. All right, these are the feet. And these come down to points. My understanding is they screw in to the bottom here, like that. So each of these will get three. I think it takes as much time to just screw them in, or to untake them out of the plastic bag as to screw them in. You have a choice. Of course, you don't have to screw these points in, but you can put that directly on the floor. I think there's differing opinions on how that impacts things sonically. But if you don't, if you have a wood floor or something you don't want it to scratch, they have these pads that it sits on, and that will protect the layer below. So I'll finish putting those feet onto each layer. We're going to do it that way to begin with, and if we want, we can always take those spikes off. So I said this comes in different colors. You know, for those who don't like a lot of reflections, you can get these with black end caps, the black frame. I think it's always a black frame, I can't remember. It might be an option on the frame. I think you can get all silver too. And then, but it could be black end caps, black feet, black frame, and black shelving. And then you're all set for your dark, non-reflective theater. We just do things a little differently. Even open this bag. It's really nice, solid manufacturing on this. The welds are really good here, nice and smooth. There's no burrs, no gaps. Really well done. I think for the price, I mean, you can spend a lot more for equipment racks, obviously, but this one is done really well. I think the shelves are all, they've got to be all the same, so they can go on any layer. You got to think about where you're going to place the each level. And if you want to make this taller, you can. They have additional layers, but you have to first start with the base unit. You can't a la carte this. You start with the base unit, and then you can add on additional shelves. There is a maximum weight. I'll get you for that in a second here. I had to be concerned about the weight because those Emotiva amps, they're pretty heavy. They're like 80 pounds. I can't remember the exact number. One being a little particular. Let me try it over here. Fits there well. Hopefully there isn't a threading problem on that leg. And the last one. I don't want to cross thread it. It just doesn't want to. Do something. That part seems smooth. Just wondering why. That was just a little tight there. Now it's loosening up. Okay, there must have been some burr or something in with the thread. All right, so they say start with the. Let's put this together as it should go. They said start with this, and so the way this sits is on the triangle, it's flat across the front, and the third pin isn't supposed to be in the back. I suppose if you like it a different way, you probably could arrange it. You can, again, I got a rug here, so I can put the spikes right into it. But then you think about, then this shelf goes on, and then they say put on the next height here. And this is going to be so the first is a 3-inch frame, and this is going to be the 9-inch frame here. So put the 9-inch frame, and there's little detents on the layer below it that the spikes just fit into, just like that. Then we put the shelf on. That's good. Then they say put a 7-inch shelf in. So obviously for my bigger components, the amp, we'll only be able to fit one of the amps in as we have it purchased right now, but my other components will fit. Then finally the last layer, which is the same height, so it's over 7 inches. Goes here, and then the shelf. And we didn't need a screwdriver. Let me give you some more details about the VTI Audio Rack. Now, the total width as it stands is 23¼ inches, and the total depth is 20 3/8, and the total height is 32¼ as it is configured right now. Now you can add another shelf to this separately, as I explained. Now the distance between the poles, and this could be of interest to you if you're sliding out, is 20 inches between these two front poles, and front to back between the poles is 18½ inches. So keep that in mind. But being able to get in here it's pretty open, so you may have more luck getting in something that's pretty tight. So that is the dimensions are pretty good for standard equipment. So if you look at any given piece of equipment, it's usually around 17 inches on the width of the product. And this is one of my deeper ones, and that's measuring 18. So I think we're going to do pretty well on getting some of our bigger pieces into this rack. The other neat feature about this, and as I said, you can get the other shelf, the color coding that I mentioned earlier. I said mahogany, but the other option on the shelving is cherry, so that's the C code. The oak is what I got, that's the O code, and the B is for the black shelves. On the pole, you can get this part of the pole, and the frame is either black or silver. So the standard is black, so there'll be no code for black, but you can add in the silver if necessary. The caps, the three colors on the caps are B for black, S for silver, as we have shown here, and G for gold. So those are your color codings. When you get the extra shelves, they're available in 3-inch, which is, I think, like the bottom, the 7-inch like the top two, and 9-inch like the bottom. So if I wanted to put 2 of the Emotiva amplifiers in, I would want to get at least another 9-inch section, because I believe the Emotivas are, yeah, those are 8 inches, so the 7 would be too short for me. The other neat thing, and we'll end with this, is before you put the feet in, you do have the option, these are solid, to take the feet off, and there's a hole here, and these are hollow. You could fill each of the legs with sand or metal filings to give this a little more heft and weight, to make it a little more inert as far as being able to move it. So that may be something I do. And that's also a nice feature, and they actually advertise that on their website. Independently, each shelf can hold 200 pounds, but they give a weight limit for the whole unit of 350 pounds. So that's pretty darn good. Most people are not going to have components that are going to add up to that for 4 shelves. So that's the setup of this. The next time you see me with this rack, we'll have it positioned. And what I'm going to try here, and of course I could leave it on the floor, and I've got plenty of places where I could use this at floor level. But I'm going to try placing this up on the cabinet as upper shelves, almost making like a hutch-like environment. So this will be kind of unique of how we're going to set this up, and I'll give you a view of that. In closing, if you also struggle with challenges of finding how to position all your equipment as you grow your system, we would like to have that feedback on the Right Wave Audio community. So please add on the description of the challenges that you've had and how you've dealt with them. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to this Right Wave Audio community, and be sure to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified each time a new video is posted. Until then, keep evolving your audio experience. I just realized one of these sections has the VTI logo on it, and I don't have it facing forward right now, so which is actually a neat thing, because you can decide whether you want to see the VTI logo or not. So I'm going to reposition this just so you can see it. I think it's intended that this section with the logo, only one of them has the logo on it, which is here, is intended for the top. At least that's how they show it in their literature. So I'm going to reposition that one, even though it's the same height as the previous section. I'm going to reposition that one to the top. So it's here. So you can alternately, show the logo there, or if you give it a spin in either direction, and if you don't care about seeing their logo, it's hidden. We'll just leave this for now facing forward, and there you have it, the VTI Audio Rack with 3 legs.